Spotlight on Godrej Consumer. Sameer Shah is the CFO now joining in to discuss the quarter gone by as well as the road ahead. Good to have you on board. It's been a quarter where we've seen pricing-led growth. Do you think that this trend could continue for FY23?
So I think a couple of things. One is we need to look at this quarter's performance not just on a year-over-year basis, but on a 3-year CAGR basis because of the base which we had in Q1 FY22 as well as in Q1 FY21, basically comparing it back to the pre-COVID levels. So when we look at our YOY volume, it has declined in mid-single digits. But on a 3-year CAGR basis, if we look at volumes, they have grown by 3 to 4%. I think for rest of the year, definitely we do expect recovery in volumes. We do expect some macro recovery to begin with. Inflation also is expected to, sort of taper off. So that should be, good, trigger for volumes recovery from end consumers' perspective. And secondly, we are also seeding in a lot of category development initiatives across categories locally as well as globally, wherein we do think that there should be, better volumes coming in.
Now, those category development initiatives that you alluded to, they're eating into your margins in the near term. The advertisement costs have gone up, and plus there's been an industry-wide gross margin pressure that we've seen. So the question is, when can we see your margins coming back to those 20% plus levels?
So again, I think if you double click into the results, you will see that the biggest dent is coming from gross margins, and which in turn is more driven by the commodity headwinds which we had over last couple of quarters. But palm oil prices have come down, which is one of the biggest ingredient in India, and it has come down by 40-50%. So we do expect the gross margin pressure to ease off from coming quarters. In fact, we could see maintenance and expansion in rest of the year. That will create a good pool for investing for driving this category development initiative. So in rest of the year, we do expect our margins also to expand. And if we aggregate first quarter and expected rest of the year performance, even on a full year basis, at least at this point in time, we do believe that overall we should see margin expansion despite having upfront marketing investments.
So can we talk a little bit more about that? And can you give us a sense of how it is that the company is managing to navigate all of the volatility that you're seeing in the input prices as far as raw materials goes, and given the correction that has begun, including from the world of energy, how is that going to impact your final pricing for consumers?
I think it's going to be at least a very interim period of wait and watch, because there is some unabsorbed inflation also, which has been there over last couple of quarters, which needs to be in a way, passed on. But if the prices continue to be at the levels where they are, then I think in rest of the year, there could be some price drops also.
Okay, wait and watch mode as far as reducing prices goes. Now, just, going into the fine print, I see that rural accounts for nearly 30% of your sales. But the fact is, you yourself are indicating a slowdown in the rural market. It's commentary that we're hearing from many, many corporates of India Inc. Can you give us the rural versus urban growth numbers, quantify it for us, and what kind of a trend you're anticipating in the quarters to come?
Sure. Yeah, you're right. I mean, rural was 30% of our overall portfolio in India. Rural growth was a little more subdued as compared to urban growth, and the reasons are well known, largely inflation. We do expect, again, a gradual recovery with good monsoon, with inflation gradually at least coming off. We do expect rural consumption to be better. I mean, if you look at overall FMCG also in the first quarter, rural consumption was relatively weaker as compared to urban consumption. But last couple of months, which is June and also July now with some data, does suggest that there is at least gradual recovery even in rural. So we remain hopeful in terms of rural consumption also picking up in medium term. And urban any which ways was, kind of steady.
Right. Sameer, your Indonesia business has been under pressure though for a while. When is it that we can expect a recovery?
So I think in Indonesia, we had directionally a weak performance, but we also had stock correction with our channel partners. I mean, our Indonesian business is around 2/3 modern trade. and the channel partners had overstocked over a period of last maybe 9 to 12 months. So what we did is we took that stock correction, which means the sellouts or the secondary sales were much better. So while the overall sell-ins or the sales which gets reported declined by 10-12%, the sellouts were nearly flat. The other thing is we also had a high comparator of hygiene category in the base. If you even strip out that, the overall sellouts grew in mid-single digits. So maybe a quarter from here on, we do expect Indonesia growths also to be back on track alongside margins. So that's the way we are kind of looking at Indonesian business, and more importantly, the growth pivots at this point in time.
Right. Could you also throw some light as to how various verticals are performing right now? That's hair care, home improvement, etc.
Sure. So I think at overall level, home care performance was, kind of relatively, soft, whereas personal care performance in India was extremely strong. Both categories like soaps, personal wash, including soaps, as well as hair colors, had very, very strong performance on any metric, year-over-year growth, 3-year, kind of growths also. Within home care, household insecticide category had relatively soft performance, but again on a high base, on a 3-year basis, and the growth rates were high single digits to double digits. So we are structurally not too worried even about household insecticide category performance. And air care, I mean, has seen very strong growths. So I would say the overall performance was, kind of steady. And with some of our category development initiatives, we do expect this growth to, kind of scale up in rest of the year.
Samir, for joining in and sharing with us the outlook on Godrej Consumer as well as the quarterly numbers that have been delivered.